TitleMatchNetwork.com.
I was blessed. I was up in Buffalo, New York, starving to death, but I would wrestle Toronto. I go up there every 3 weeks when they had the big Maple Leaf Gardens. Was always great. The Tunnies, the promoters. So I saw Jack Briscoe up there, and he asked me. Of course, he knew my dad and everything. I'd never been to Florida yet. Would you like to come to Florida? Are you kidding? So he got me booked. Put a good word in for me. Got me. I went to Tampa and moved in right down there and had a great time in Florida. Met Dusty. So to the Eddie Graham thing is, of course, he was good friends with my father, Johnny Valentine. In fact, my dad, even after he had the plane crash, they brought him in, and he was a booker, but it was real hard for him he couldn't go to the towns, and he had to walk up these steps in that old sportatorium thing where they had the office. It was upstairs. But he did good for a while, but then Eddie brought me in, and he taught me so much just by talking to me and talking to the other guys and how you piece the matches together, but you have different, it wasn't really routine, but he just said, you get he'd give you the thing where you could put a spot in, but it wasn't all about high spots. He wanted you to be able to wrestle, take down and grab an arm and then do something and then get that arm again. It was that routine type of thing. He taught me so much, and Dusty was the big name down there. So Eddie Graham, these guys, I know Dark Side of the Ring, they always go for the bad stuff, and people like watching it, I guess. And so Eddie killed himself. And the story goes, legend has it, that he shot himself, but he was still alive, and so he had to shoot himself again. He had to shoot twice, right through the mouth. He missed, went sideways. Oh my God, I can't imagine that. So he killed himself, but it had to do with something about money or something. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I really don't know, but it was, the wrestling business was doing good. It was some other stuff that it had to do with real estate and stuff. So it's terrible. Kill yourself. But then Mike Graham, his son, shot himself. And I think one of the other sons killed himself too. So it's like 3 of them in there that killed themselves. And, Mike was like, I remember in WCW or something, he was like one of the agents or something when I was in there. And then they didn't hire him back or something, had to do something with that, but he had boats, he had a boat shop, repaired boats, living in Florida, it's all boats, and, had a beautiful wife, and then they were vacationing or something in Daytona Beach or something, and she went upstairs and to the hotel, and he went back downstairs. He had a gun there, and he blew his head off. So that's Dark Side of the Ring. They like to talk about stuff like that, accidents and suicides, but Eddie Graham, what a guy, I think Eddie had a false eye too.
Oh, did he?
I think he did, yeah. But you couldn't tell. I think he had a false eye, but this guy was brilliant, and he made Florida what it was, big-time wrestling. Him and Gordon Soley was the announcer. God, Florida Championship Wrestling was just fabulous. When I left Florida, I just, that's where they had me break the boards in the ring. Did you ever see that?
The demonstrations you would do?
So I sent that, Eddie Graham had me send that to North Carolina because they wanted me in Charlotte. My dad had the nasty accident in the airplane with Ric Flair, and he was crippled from the waist down, and Johnny Valentine was the big top star there, and so they they brought me in. God bless them for doing that, because it's just the way things work out. I kept putting them off because I was having a good time in Florida, and they were starting to use me good as a babyface, being Dusty's partner and stuff. I was having a good time in Florida. I want to go to Carolinas. That sounded like a hillbilly place to me. And it was back then. It was a PTL club. They were big and strong. And there was 3 R's associated with North Carolina, Charlotte. Wrestling, race car driving, and religion. A PTL club. Oh my God. Jim Baker and his wife, and she'd be crying on the TV with mascara running out her eyes. And I said, this is fucking bullshit. Excuse me. I'm religious, so I shouldn't say that. But it was BS. This stuff on television was terrible. But the wrestling was really good there. And they had no other pro sports. Carolina Panthers weren't there. And the only other thing, and of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway, racing was big. And college basketball. And Michael Jordan from North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So the college basketball was big time here too.
TitleMatchNetwork.com